Do you know there's certain things you should look for when buying a location or a used ATM? Stay to the end of the video. I'm going to tell you what those things are. Hi, I'm Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page, and I help hundreds of aspiring ATM business owners go from 0 ATMs to ATM Business Pro in as little as 30 days. Always remember, here at PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page, we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time. Without further ado, the top 5 things to look for when buying either a used ATM or an ATM location. Point number 1. When you're buying a used ATM, especially some of you guys are new to the business, you're always going to make sure that the ATM is EMV compliant. So what does EMV compliant mean? It means that EMV stands for Euro, MasterCard, Visa to begin with. That's that little chip that now you guys see on all your ATM cards or your credit cards, but there was a time when they just would do swipe. So back in 2017, they passed the rules and regs that made it mandatory for every ATM to take the chip card, and if they didn't, then the liability was shifted to the person who owns the ATM. Thrusting point, we decided as an industry, and myself included, to upgrade all our ATMs. However, there are still ATMs in the industry, if you can believe it, this has been going on our 6th year, that are not EMV upgraded. And so they ended up in a storage locker, they ended up on eBay, ended up somewhere, and then you see an ATM for $100, you're like, wow, what a great deal. But you know what? It's not a great deal because those ATMs are either not upgraded or they can't be upgraded. So they're only good for parts. Some of those parts aren't even compliant anymore either, but that's what they're used for. So if you're thinking about buying a used ATM, make sure it's EMV compliant. Point number 2. So now you see a used ATM. One of the other things you want to do is, if you're going to buy a used ATM, most of the time, it's always a good thing to pick it up right at the person who's selling it. Pick it up. Sometimes you got to ship it. Now, if you're going to ship it, you always built in about a cost of $300 into the cost of that ATM, so you know where you're at. Now, you'll have to negotiate, or you might want to negotiate with the seller because they have to ship it. Maybe the seller can share some of that shipping cost, or they can discount the ATM a little so you can absorb some of those shipping costs. I see a lot of times, it's better just to pick it up in person. Keep in mind, if you ship it, you're going to take some of that liability in case the shipper damages that product. And then you got to figure out, well, was it damaged before you got it? Was it damaged in shipping? So it becomes a headache. So if you're not experienced in the shipping game, I would highly suggest to stay away from, if you can't pick it up in person, don't buy the ATM. So if you're thinking about starting your own profitable ATM business but didn't know where to start, stay to the end of the video. I will share with you our checklist on how to start an ATM business even if you have 0 business experience. In this checklist, I will share with you the 5 things you need to start a profitable ATM business so you can build a passive income source for your family. You'll have a clear roadmap towards ATM business success so you can earn between $250 and $1,500 of passive income every single month. All right, let's get back to the video. Point number 3. So if you're buying a used ATM and it comes with a location agreement, the person will probably ask a lot more for the location and the ATM. This might look, a standard ATM, let's say is new ATM, around $2,500 or a little less depending on shipping and this and that. But let's just say they're asking $3,000, $5,000, $6,000. What are you buying? What you're doing is you're buying future cash flow of that ATM. So that's all going to be in the negotiation. How many months are left on the contract? How much is the ATM generating every month? And what are you buying? Again, you're buying future cash flow for that location. Now, make sure that location agreement can be assigned and make sure that there's a good relationship with the previous owner. So when you come in, you also get hit over the head and you might have to update the ATM. You might have to change about the things. So you got to know what you're buying and make sure that a contract that has teeth in it, in case the guy kicks you out, you might have some liability. You might have to go after them legally in case that happens. So always know what you're buying when you buy. Point number 4, let's say, I see some people out there, they're selling locations, they do a lot of cold calling. There's some really good locators out there and there's some not so good locators out there. So just make sure you know what you're buying. Some of the locators out there, they're going to ask for cash up front. We make it a practice here. We don't pay for any of the locations until we actually put the ATM in the ground. A lot of times, even with a good locator, I've had this challenge, not really on them, but the people on the other end, they've made promises that they wouldn't keep. In other words, locator reputable locator, finds a location. He says, Phil, I got a location in your area. Are you interested? I said, yes, no problem. Here's the location, gives us the address. We go over to talk to the person about installing the ATM, and we can't find that person. So I talk to the locator calls that person, says, yep, no problem. Come on down, we're here. We go there again, it's still not there, giving us the runaround. Happened 2-3 times. You know what? I tell the locator, hey, it's not for me. But that kind of thing happens. Now, if we would have paid that locator, the onus becomes on me. So even though it's a reputable locator, you know what? Sometimes the communication between the locator and the site is not the best. So sometimes you got to pass. So that's why what you want to do is you don't want to pay the locator until you actually bolt the ATM in the ground. Now, that'll require some trust between you and the locator. Locator might not like that, but maybe it's not the right deal for you. And point number 5, and this goes back to the locator, always know who you're dealing with, but there are some locators out there. I see them all in the chats. They sneak in through a back door or side door. They change their names on Facebook. They say, hey, I got 3, 4, 5 locations, and they'll get everybody excited. And you know what? It's all smoke and mirrors. They're not real. So this goes back to point number 4. Don't pay for something until you actually get the ATM into the location. Now, on the locator's part, this becomes a problem because there are some not so scrupulous people who are out there in an ATM who a locator will work real hard, find a location, want to sell that, and now this person says, oh yeah, I'll get it, puts their ATM and then blows off the locator. So those people are scumbags too. So if you're a locator, always know that you're taking a risk. And you know what? If you guys are doing that kind of behavior, you guys shouldn't be in the business because you give a bad name for everybody else. So just keep those points in mind when you're buying a used ATM or you're buying a location. So if you're interested in starting your own ATM business, I want to invite you to a free checklist entitled ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, where I'll share with you the 5 things you need to start a profitable ATM business so you can start earning passive income, make more money, and spend more time with your family. So if you're interested in starting your ATM journey, click the link down below and start your ATM journey today. Again, this is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind Group page, where we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time. Thank you guys very much.